Hey yo, and welcome back to the channel, everybody. My name is Dark Sage Walker, and today I figured I would go for a slightly comfier run, but it's because there was something that I'd been requested to talk about. So, let's quick go over the run. It's going to be kind of standard fare, using the Awe Robe with the Dark Katana to power up the Chaos Crusher, yes it does count as melee, and Arc Sphere, another personal favorite that I know some of you kinda don't really like all that much. I personally love it. But that's just one guy's opinion. So the run is fairly self-explanatory, and like I said, I'm purposefully taking a slightly comfier run to talk about a topic that I had begun to talk about in the previous video. Yes, we will start at the Thundering Keep. That seems like a good idea. Alright, cool. So by the end of the run, I'm hoping to find a decent Fire Arcana that synergizes with the Dark Katana, and I should be fine for fighting Freya. There we go. Now I got stuck on level geometry. How embarrassing. Wait. There we go. That's what I meant to do. My brain was just like, no, pummel him to death. He deserves naught but the worst of tortures. Then my brain kicked in and said, yeah, but the hole's down there. Yeah, so Captain's Ring is likely what I'm going to be picking. Oh, oh, hello. Look at all the upgrades. Alright, so the reason why I prioritized those so quickly is because that is going to increase the amount of time that Razor Burst stays out for, and it's also going to mean that the bouncing bubbles will bounce longer. Basically just making both of those far more effective at what they already do. And I'd say that just doing that one minor little thing is already going to be a very useful function for the rest of the run. Want to walk into that? Thank you. And even though Bouncing Bubble doesn't synergize with the... Oh, sorry about that. Even though Bouncing Bubble doesn't synergize with the Dark Katana, it of course creates a little bit of control as it's not only ranged, but bounces around the room chaotically and makes everyone wonder why they got up that morning. So, of course, I'm very interested in that. Now, the topic that I had been requested to talk about... Thanks, guys. was a topic that I had started to talk about yesterday, as I already mentioned. And the request came from a YouTube commenter named Jason Ellison, requesting that I talk a little bit more about my experience as an artist, which is something that I don't talk about very much on the channel. So, seeing as I have essentially a bunch of open runs this week, up until, Potential Challenge and Wizard of Metal, I figured why not? There's no reason not to talk about that. And if someone is actually interested, I see no reason not to indulge a little bit. Perfect. Look at that bouncing bubble chaos. Yeah, it might be chaos, but it's very controlled chaos. Hey, you have anything I want? So, I don't know how much health Golden Contract takes from you, but I also know that I'm running melee right now, and I would rather not take an unnecessary risk. Here we go. Damn it. So, my time as an artist is not been a short one, not gonna lie. And that dates all the way back to when I was just a wee little lad, just learning about the ways of the NES. And one of the things I liked to do when I was a kid is I would like to... Apparently I'm very tired, so I apologize. You did not click on this video to hear me yawn endlessly. There we go. So, my sleepiness aside, when I was a kid, I like to make up my own little scenarios from games that I like to play, and just kind of draw them out because I mean, when you're a kid, you think you're a friggin' genius. But looking back on it, I'm now well aware that what I was doing was essentially the very early stages of learning how to properly design. And I don't just mean like, you know, designing characters and whatnot. I mean like, because I was drawing out scenes from video games, I was also learning about game design there in this very technical capacity. I mean, it was one of the nerdiest things I did when I was a kid. I have no issue with that. But, I mean, suffice it to say, I was, you know, young, dumb, and naive, so, I mean, I took to the idea of drawing stick figures shaped like, or essentially supposedly representing characters from Super Mario Bros. 3 as high art. Or at the very least a means of nurturing a creative spirit, as I later came to understand that's what I was doing. But when you're a kid, you don't know anything about that. You're just like, I like Mario! And, you know, to my credit, I still do like Mario. I know nowadays it's kind of considered cool to eschew the popularity of Mario and be like, nah, Luigi's always been better. And it's like, why? Because he wears green? I like both brothers, don't get me wrong, but I mean, if your entire point of liking Luigi better than Mario is just to be a contrarian, then clearly you're not paying much attention to the like honest design of the characters. Now, that having been said, there are some honest to goodness reasons to like Luigi better than Mario. I fully admit that. All I'm saying is that if the only reason why you like better than Mario is just to be a contrarian on the points, be like, oh, he's popular, therefore he has to be worst. No. No, not at all. And yes, I do see that Crimson Clover over there, and I am going to make a beeline for that right the fuck now. Thanks, guys. And on that point, the game of choice that I like to kind of design my own scenes of when I was a little one was Super Mario Bros. 3. So there you go. Yeah, there's nothing here that's really catching my attention. And I know there's Shock Nova, but pardon me. But we can do better than that. Now let's come back here. None of these are really all that interesting. So, I'm going to save my money and see if we can't get ourselves a nice big shopping spree going on the next floor. There we go. But that's just a minor little stepping stone on what would later become not a career, of course, but a further burgeoning interest in my artistic endeavors. And a lot of that interest started, not too surprisingly, with designing my own like Mega Man robot recipes. And that was something that I did just kind of frequently doodling throughout school. Like, I remember having summer school classes. Yes, I was one of those kids, don't judge me. And a lot of my time there was spent just kind of going through my head going, no, they haven't done that yet. And just going from there. And that was back in like 4th or 5th grade. You can imagine that other kids would make fun of me for it, as kids are wont to do. They want to feel accepted, and the best way to feel accepted, sadly, is to find some common ground making fun of someone that you think is a complete loser. And you know, who could be more of a loser than the weirdo drawing like weird robots with big feet? Some of the kids liked what I was doing, though, but it was still through the lens of I have to seem aloof in order to be cool. And I can sum up that whole part of my learning process in 3 words: kids are assholes. There we go. But after that point, I had just started picking up on whatever I could in order to learn how to better design and articulate what I was working on. I had... How come every spell being offered right now is garbage? Like, I'm not going to take Grasping Earth. Like, you've got to actively be kidding me. Hold on. Sorry about that. And I started taking a particular interest in anime style art, which, yes, I know it's so cliche. Why would you draw that? Well, I like drawing that style. I see a fairy. But I started drawing that style because I was familiar with the comic book style at the time, and still what is still the reigning comic book style amongst a lot of artists. And if that's what you like, more power to you. But I like the anime style art because it was more expressive. And that's not to say that, the style popularized by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby couldn't be expressive, but I just wasn't into it. Oh, we're definitely going to take that. So, let's see, do I want to pick that up? Yeah, rogues and archers are the worst. Alright, I'm gonna go through a couple more rooms just to make sure that I have a little bit more spending power on the next floor. Well, thank you, Aura. Alright, that's going to be about it. Beautifully done. Hello, Spice Rack. Alright. That little hourglass means you know it's working. But I mean, however cliched it might be now to be like, oh, anime style art, bleh. I still like anime style art better than a lot of other things out there. And again, it's because I have this thing about expressiveness. I think that just the way that they go about things, but are still incredibly detailed and at least semi-realistic in most cases. I thought it was and still is a art style that I really gel with. Okay, Hun, you really have to help me out here. I'm still working with the same 4 Arcana I was working with at the very beginning. All I'm asking for is a melee-based Fire Arcana. I don't think that's asking too much. Now, I know the history behind it. A lot of what became popularized in Japan was made that way because of Western style animation. I'm aware of that. but it doesn't change the fact that, I don't know, like I said, I find it to be a very interesting and expressive art style. I like it. And I'm not going to... Okay, so is there a possibility that I could maybe move? And since then, my style has been further refined by things like playing a lot of Dungeons and Dragons, where it's not just like, oh, what can your character do, but like little things like careful. Okay, can we stop? So the one problem I have with carrying on with a melee-based run is that you have to get close to your enemies, and of course they're going to just sit there and keep your face in. Wow, I am just suddenly playing very poorly. Okay, that needs to change. For what it's worth, the birds are reacting to the birds outside. I have the window open because the temperature isn't horrible yet. Now we're going to take this over to Nocturne and see if he can't turn that garbage into something a bit more useful. I mean, it's not ideal, but I'm taking it. I mean, at least it is a melee-based fire arcana. And there we go. Perfect. Yeah, why not? Now, as for what type of art I practice, I mostly do pencil and paper. And I know that seems kind of old school and primitive in comparison to what we have today, but keep in mind that the advent of the art tablet was not going to be a thing for a little while when I was in school. So if you're learning to do art, you're learning it one of the old ways. So that's why I brought up that I don't really know how to use a tablet very effectively. Because in all honesty, I really don't. Don't get me wrong, I have a tablet, but one of the things that keeps holding me back from really digging into learning how to use it is the idea that because I trained myself, and no, I didn't take professional lessons, I taught myself. There we go. But because I taught myself so extensively with pencil and paper, the idea of not looking at what I'm drawing on is one that's very daunting to me. Well, I mean, that's useless. Like, I get the basics of how to go about creating something. Oh yeah, they're doing fire alarm tests today, so there's a possibility that you guys will be subject to fire alarm noises. I'm just bringing that up now in case it ends up being a thing. Alright, so with the build that I have right now, Tectonic Drill is like the holy grail. So I'll probably be back for that. I just don't remember what Anders had for sale. Yay, I hate you guys. Okay, all of you can piss off now. Oh my god. Alright, well, that was horrifying. Those last couple of rooms just absolutely destroyed me. And it's also pretty much the reason why I didn't really want Heroic Blaze to begin with, because you're held still for the whole time that you're using it, making you pretty much a sitting duck to anything with a little bit of range. And that is very much what we're seeing right now, is that I'm just getting smoked by enemies that have a little bit of range to them. And that is because Heroic Blaze holds you completely still, and actually almost downright punishes you for using it. Alright, so we're gonna get a little bit of help from Dr. Song here. Critical placebos. Oh, that is amazing. Alright, so now we're just going to tackle things like this and hope that it works out a little bit better. We got 344 damage just because of the stupid... Sometimes you just don't want to settle. And even though Shu is going to resist the Tectonic Drill, not only is it going to be better than... I mean, look at that damage. That was no small amount of damage. Hello, Surefire Rocket. Alright. Now, back to the point of learning to use an art tablet. I do, like I said, I have one, and I know that there are tablets out there that actually that actually work a lot like just regular old pencil and paper, where you can see on the tablet what you're doing, but those are spendy. And at the time in which I went to go pick up a tablet to start learning, I simply did not have the money for that. Don't get me wrong, I think one of those would be absolutely perfect for me, as it would be much easier for me to transition, considering that I did learn using traditional pencil and paper style. But as far as how things have been going lately, I'm not gonna lie, I haven't really done a lot of actual drawing or anything like that. I've still been nurturing my creative instincts, partially by making videos. And oh, now you offer Inferno Cannon. Oh, you bitch. But you also have Cascading Blitz, so... Hey. I don't know. Considering how badly I got my ass kicked on the last floor, I'm very unsure about taking Double Toil. That's not Double Toil, that's Double Trouble. And just because I haven't been creating many pieces lately doesn't mean that I don't have interest. It just means that I've been highly distracted lately with things like, you know, work and obligations and, you know, mental health. Now, I know that sounds weird to say, but I mean, putting a strong focus on my mental health lately has been very important because I know I have anxieties and depression that I have to deal with, and that is a big part of what's been keeping me from jumping back into my art, is that I haven't been feeling like I have what it takes to do my art. Like I said, I've been fostering my creative side by making videos, and, you know, Dungeons & Dragons is a big help, but... Anything here that'd be... Honestly, I think it might be better to wait, because I might need to be able to afford a health potion. At this point, I'm not even going to bother with Inferno Cannon. You could have offered me that earlier. I would have taken it then. So when I was saying earlier that Tectonic Drill is the holy grail of this run, what I obviously meant by that is that on a melee-based critical hit run where you have Dark Katana, Tectonic Drill is downright amazing. And it'll get work done for you. I've also been kind of very lightly poking my nose into the idea of pixel art. Oh my goodness. No, I'm not great at it by any means, but... Okay, thank you. Thank you for responding, B-Button. That was perfect. Or in this case, A button. Oh, that's another few hundred points of damage that I have to somehow work off. God damn. I think it's very obvious that I'm not entirely in my zone today. There we go. Now, as far as whether or not anything has come from the kind of learning to pixel art, not really. Not yet, anyway. And after all, that is not an easy thing to learn, and it has been very much a slow burn. But the interest is there, and any of you who are interested in teaching how to do effective pixel art, then by all means. And obviously I play a lot of games that use pixel art. Oh, immediately with the null flashing is. Ah, screw you. Ah, no. Oh, I'm stupid. I'm very stupid. God damn. Alright, well, that was one of the more, get beat up runs that I've ever had. And fortunately, I didn't lose, but God, multiple floors where I took 200 to 300 plus damage. Whew. That's not right. So, for Mr. Ellison, hopefully that gives you a pretty decent idea as to where my standing is when it comes to creating art. I have the passion, I've been doing it for a long time. Currently being held back by insecurities and mild bits of paranoia, which I will reflect upon in a future episode, because this month is Mental Health Awareness Month. And yeah, coming from someone who actually suffers from depression and anxiety, I have plenty to talk about when it comes to that, but we're saving that for a future episode, and yeah, Heroic Blaze, you suck. So, that's the episode. Thank you guys very much for watching and listening to me talk about my experiences with art. Of course, if you're interested, I would very much appreciate if you would subscribe to the channel. I just recently crested 200 subscribers, and yeah, I know that's not a huge number, but I'm proud of it. I managed to build 200 subscribers just being a doofy idiot playing Wizard of Legend on the internet, so thank you guys, I really appreciate it, and I hope to continue growing. So, subscribe to the channel, like it if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it. It helps me know where I went wrong and what I need to fix. as per usual, links to my social media will be in the description of the video, and again, if you guys have any suggestions for learning either pixel art or how to work with a drawing tablet, by all means, I am all ears. Perhaps the best thing for me would just be to save up some money for one of those tablets that actually displays on the tablet itself what you're working or what you're doing. That would be probably a huge help for me, honestly. But at this point, I'm rambling, so I'll once again say thank you, everyone, for spending some of your free time with me, and I will catch you later. My name is Dark Sage Walker, and I will be seeing you.